Hello and welcome to Jihad and the World, a product of Kensington Security Consulting, where we bring education to national security. Today's episode is entitled Whip Hands and Bloody Rivers, Immigration Comes to Britain. Whip Hands and Bloody Rivers. Mercurial, brilliant, eccentric, and legendarily controversial, Enoch Powell was a prominent figure in Britain until 1968. He served as a Member of Parliament for 18 years and was openly nationalist and conservative. Raised in a middle-class family in Birmingham, he excelled as a scholar at Cambridge, where he later taught classics. He had a distinguished military career and became one of the youngest brigadiers of his era. He couldn't fulfill his dream of becoming the viceroy of India because it had gained independence. As a result, he entered politics, where he made a significant impact. He delivered a speech in Birmingham on April the 20th, 1968, that shocked the nation. Using alarmist language that made international headlines and ended his political career, he warned Britain that soon the black man will have the whip hand over the white man. With a historical reference to Virgil, it became known as the Rivers of Blood speech. Immediately, people tried to understand why he said what he did. Why would he gratuitously give fodder to his political rivals? Why did he refer to blacks as wide, grinning pickaninnies? Fluent in Greek, Latin, Hebrew, French, German, Italian, Urdu, and medieval Welsh, Powell could have used less derogatory words. Why did he give the speech on Hitler's birthday? Many fellow Tories agreed with Powell's critique, but not his word choice, his legacy. Today, few Tories would openly embrace Powell's rhetoric. However, leaders of the anti-immigrant British National Party, BNP, have no such hesitation. The group's Midlands leader said, "It has taken us 40 years to admit it. We shuffled into this nightmare we find ourselves in, where our traditions, history, and culture are being replaced far more quickly than Mr. Powell could even have dreamed of." But many Britons have forgotten him. He was the MP from Wolverhampton, and many local college students have asked, "Enoch who?" "Yeah, I've heard of him. Who was he?" A British journalist snickered that for today's generation, Rivers of Apathy better describes politics. Others have compared him to American Senator Joseph McCarthy, the fiery scourge of communism of the early 1950s. McCarthy inflated the number of communists in the US government. He disparaged the loyalty of American civil servants, some of whom had no connection to the Soviet Union. Nonetheless, he identified a significant, very real conspiracy that compromised national security, but a popular backlash made it difficult to accuse American officials of being communists, even if the charge was true. Today, in Britain, intellectuals and politicians do not want to be accused of McCarthy-like or Powell-like sentiments regarding immigration. They stay silent. The wrong words could end a career. Terror Central. And what about Powell's city of Birmingham? Outside the Masha Allah Internet Cafe, Mohammed Hussein raised his voice over the recorded Quranic verses blaring from the abaya shop 2 doors down. He was furious that Britain's latest terrorist attacker had amplified the stigma against his city. "Why do all the jihadis come to Birmingham?" he half shouted, prompting a passing group of teenage girls in bright-coloured headscarves to frown, then giggle. A few years ago, a Fox News terrorism commentator had to apologize for describing Birmingham as a Muslim-only city where non-Muslims don't go. Nonetheless, Birmingham, Britain's second-largest city after London, has produced a disproportionate number of convicted Islamist militants, including some linked to the September 11th attacks and last year's bombings in Brussels. So many Islamist militants have been born in Birmingham or have passed through that the Birmingham Mail once lamented the city's dubious distinction as Terror Central. When a masked member of Shabab, the Somali extremist group, celebrated the murder of soldier Lee Rigby in a 2013 video, he identified Birmingham as the main source of its fighters. The man believed to have recruited the militant known as Jihadi John, the Islamic State executioner with a King's English accent, was from Birmingham, as was his closest associate. Other notable militants linked to the city's underground networks include Abdelhamid Abba Oud, who organised the 2015 Paris attacks, and Mohamed Abrini, a Belgian national involved in the 2016 Brussels attacks. After-school madrasas are increasingly sought by parents who want their children to study the Quran. Even state-funded schools often accommodate religious needs by allowing lunchtime prayer, shorter days during Ramadan, and optional headscarves. Mr. Choudhury, now in prison after being convicted last year of encouraging support for the Islamic State, has recently preached in Birmingham several times. His group would arrive in large vans on Coventry Road, an area associated with conservative Islam, to preach and distribute leaflets. They turned religion into a gang-like thing, with thugs around him saying, "Come join our gang," said Mr. Ashfaq, director of Kick It. Their message, he explained, was, "You can be cool, you can become a gangster," a jihadi message. Today, some 15 years after the murder of drummer Rigby, Birmingham is even more divided. In 2026, a convicted terrorist who is seeking election to Birmingham City Council openly proclaimed that he was better than every Labour candidate. In 1999, Shahid Butt was imprisoned for 5 years after he was found guilty of plotting to blow up the British consulate, an Anglican church as well as a Swiss-owned hotel in Yemen. Butt announced, "I'm not a pacifist," and few would contest it. He is running in an area filled with people of Pakistani descent. He may be banned. If so, this will be yet another act of, in his words, Islamophobia. This concludes this episode of Jihad and the World. If you live in Birmingham and have some comments, please share them with us. Nothing in this episode represents the official policy of the United States government. Until our next time, thank you for listening.